On this episode of the Clip Service podcast, Roland and I are going to recap a couple of games that we've missed over the course of the last week or so. We're going to talk about kind of a couple things going on around the league, namely the issue with tanking and Adam Silver's response to that. We're also going to jump into a first-time segment called Get At Us, where we're going to read off comments and DMs that you guys sent in. So we're excited for that, to hear what you guys had to say. And then we'll preview some games coming up, and that'll do it. So we got a couple things that we want to check off the list this episode. So without further ado, let's make it happen.
What is up, Clipper Nation? And welcome to the Clip Service Podcast. Please make sure to find us on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Deezer, Amazon Music, and YouTube. You can also find us on Twitter and Instagram at Clip Service Pod. I'm Rolla, and this is my co-host, Nick. Let's get right into it.
Let's get right into it. Thank you guys so much for joining us on our 76th episode of the Clip Service Pod.
Damn.
Last time we talked, I believe the last game that we covered was the Orlando Magic loss. Unfortunately, the Clippers lost back-to-back games, the second of which being the Timberwolves. I was actually at that game. Energy was great in the building. It was a hard-fought game. It was winnable, which kind of sucked, but given the personnel that the Clippers didn't have in this one, I kind of understand the outcome. John Collins and Kawhi Leonard were both absent in this one. John Collins was nursing that the head injury that he took against the Lakers, and Kawhi was nursing an ankle injury that he took against the Lakers as well. So without them, obviously the Clippers had to rely on some guys that they normally don't rely on. Nico Batum started in this one. I guess one of the things that I disliked, I'll start a little differently this time. One of the things that I disliked was, and it's kind of unfortunately been a theme throughout the season. It pains me to say it because I truly love this person, but Nico Batum is kind of continuing his rough season offensively, at least. 0 points in 26 minutes from Nico Batum. Only took one shot. It was a three, and he missed it. He did have 6 rebounds and 3 assists, but didn't love that from Nico. As far as what I did like, though, it was kind of a modest scoring output from just about everybody on the squad. Derrick Jones led the team with 18 points, was 7 for 11 from the field. He was great. Benedict Mathurin was pretty inefficient in this one, unfortunately. 4 for 14 from the field, 14 points. But the one thing that I did like was Yanic. 10 points, 16 in 16 minutes coming off the bench. Was really doing a good job on Rudy Gobert, kind of making his money, in the paint, regardless of, the fact that Rudy Gobert, is a generational defender in that area. So, and last game, I believe that we played against the Timberwolves, Yanic had a couple highlight plays against Rudy Gobert as well. So I've been thoroughly impressed with Yanic as a whole, obviously, this season. But yeah, he was great in this game, and he kind of stood out to me the most on the Clippers side of things. Rollo, what did you start out with? What you disliked?
Yeah,
and then we'll get to what you liked.
I really enjoyed watching this game, although we lost. I thought it was a really close game. The score might not show that because we lost by 6, but it all really came down to a dagger from Anthony Edwards.
Yeah, that was a tough shot.
It was a double contested fadeaway corner 3. I mean, yeah. What else are you supposed to do? It is what it is. This loss didn't really hurt, just because we were missing Kawhi, we were missing John Collins, and we lost by Anthony Edwards being Mr. Superhero. So one thing I liked about this game was the overall effort from everyone, and I guess to go back to your dislike about Nico Batum. I don't necessarily think that he's playing poorly. I think it's more of I think he believes that is his role, is not to take shots, is to play defense and set up shots for others. Maybe raise the IQ
He
on
did
the
have like
floor.
the turnover that sealed the deal, though. We had an
Yeah,
inbound pass that didn't even touch the court. It went from inbound to inbound, just right out of bounds.
yeah, that was
Um,
unfortunate.
yeah,
But I mean, I think when you look at Nico Batum, he's a 3-point shooter, and when you're looking at the
sure.
stats, Derek Jones Jr. is shooting 7 from 11. Unfortunately, Brooke Lopez shot 2 of 12 from the field, 2 of
Brooke had
7
a rough
from
game.
3. So his what should have been his 3-point shots were going to Brooke Lopez, and Brooke has been hitting from 3 as of recent games. So I don't know. I think maybe in his mind he's thinking it's a better the odds are better when Brooklyn is taking the shots than when Brooke Lopez is taking the shots than Nico Batum is. So I don't really I'm not really too harsh on Nico on this stat line, but
Oh yeah, no, I mean Nico's a Clipper legend. Like I
right.
really, it's hard to ever say anything bad about him. But
But yeah, I guess to say one thing I did like was Julius Randle, 1 of 10 from the field, 4 points. We really held him
oh,
in
I was
check.
like, wait a second, Rolla's switching up on us, huh?
What? Oh yeah.
I thought
He's
you were
one
gonna
of
say
10.
give him his props. Yeah, yeah,
Yeah, yeah, four
he had
points,
a great
dude. Shout out to him,
yeah.
bro. He killed it. Um, no, we really locked him up. It seemed like he was getting frustrated. He didn't really have the aggression he usually does. So I think
Yeah.
we did a really, really good job on him, and kind of putting all of the weight on to Anthony Edwards to kind of make the plays and make the shots. Unfortunately, he did, like I said, but I'll take that, over Julius Randle and Anthony Edwards just kind of like destroying us. One thing I did not like, um, I don't think I had anything I didn't like about this game. I mean,
Okay. Positive Rolla. Love it.
this is a tough team. The fact that we were in it
Sure.
is, props to the Clippers, and that's really all I got to say about this game.
Yeah, that's fair. So the following game, I'm just going to jump right into the next game. The following game, Clippers bounced back in a big way, and it was actually, let's see, did Darius Garland come back in this one? Or no, he played. No, okay, he played in the following game. But yeah, Clippers bounced back in a big way against the Pelicans. Obviously, the Pelicans are in full tank mode this season. Um, off the rip, what I liked was Kawhi came back. John Collins came back as well. But Kawhi came back, scored 23 points in 29 minutes, was very surgical with his offense. Obviously, took advantage of a team that he should be doing that. Against a team like this, only had 2 turnovers, but yeah, 23 points, 5 assists, 3 rebounds, added a steal. It's really good stuff from Kawhi Leonard. Led the team in scoring. And then one more thing that I wanted to touch on that I liked was Jordan Miller had himself a game in this one. Played 32 minutes, scored 19 points, was 5 for 6 from the field, 8 of 11 from the free throw line. As we know, Jordan Miller does a really good job of getting to the line, and then chipped in with 8 assists and 3 steals. It's like a really, really solid game from Jordan Miller. So loved that. We know that he's a crafty scorer, and he can get his buckets kind of from all over the floor. So it was great to see that from him. What I didn't like was John Collins getting injured again. I think he took. I didn't see the actual play. I wasn't watching the game at the time, but from what I understand, like he got bumped by Derek Queen in like the head area or something like that, and then he was holding his arm, which is pretty scary. Like it was probably like some sort of nerve thing. Like his arm was kind of like hanging limp. Was in a lot of pain. Had to go to the locker room immediately. So that was scary. Any sort of head injury or neck injury is obviously scary. And so with John Collins being such a huge part of this team, specifically on offense, I really hope that, he's able to heal quickly. He did not he's not playing the rest of the games on this road trip. So yeah, just hopefully John Collins can heal quickly and get back because the Clippers need him if they want to do anything. In terms of getting to the play-in or getting out of the play-in or getting a first round matchup. So yeah, that was unfortunate. The Clippers have really had some bad injury luck in this game or in this season, and so hopefully that goes away pretty soon. We'll touch on another injury in one of the following games when we get to that. But that's pretty much it for me, Rolo. Did you have anything that you that you
Yeah,
liked or disliked in this?
yeah. So one thing I liked about this game was that it felt like our entire starting unit kind of had a solid game. Everyone other than Chris Dunn, who had 9 points, had double-digit points. John Collins had 15. Obviously, he left with an injury. Derek Jones 17 and Brook Lopez had 16. And Brook Lopez was hitting from three, so
Yeah,
no complaints there. Again, this is a blowout, so let's be honest. The the Pelicans aren't really trying to win these games, but
sure.
one thing I disliked was Jeremiah Fears dropping 28 points on us, 10 of 15.
Yeah, coming off the
He,
bench too.
yeah, coming off the bench, he had a great game, and our second unit had a lot of time on the court in this game because it was a blowout. So I just felt like they could have done more to kind of corral him. So, but I mean, it was a blowout. So I mean, I, there there isn't much I disliked from the game.
Yeah, one more thing that I disliked, and it's kind of been a little bit of a trend the last couple of games, is Benedict Mathurin only 9 points off the bench in 25 minutes, 4 for 13 from the field. As we know, Benedict Mathurin, he's a score first player, and I think Ty's been really kind of on him to be more aggressive. But I have found that he's kind of gotten into these habits of not moving the ball as much. The ball kind of sticks when it gets to him, and sometimes he tends to force shots. So hopefully Benedict Mathurin can rein that in because he. In the first handful of games with the Clippers, he was so good. So, and again, this is kind of what I want from him if he wants to work his way to being like a starting shooting guard for the Clippers moving forward. Is just finding a way to be consistent with it and take the shots that come to him. Be aggressive, but don't force anything. So hopefully that's not a trend that continues with him. But 117 to 137 win against the Pelicans. We'll take that all day. The following game was another win against the Golden State Warriors that were obviously without Steph Curry, but they still had Brandon Pajemski and Al Horford was available in this one, Draymond Green. So they had the guys that could score, and they're not a team to mess around with. But the Clippers were able to get the win against this team. 23 again from Kawhi Leonard. That was what I did like in this one. Had two steals to go along with it. 9 for 14 from the field. He was really, really good in this one. And then, the bench really chipped in double-digit scoring from four guys off the bench. Yanic with 11, 12 from Jordan Miller. Darius Garland made his Clippers debut in this one, which was another thing that I liked. Obviously shaking off some rust, but 23 minutes, 12 points, not too bad from him. And it was just great to see him back on the floor. And then 17 from Benedict Mathurin, much more efficient scoring game from him in this one. So that's what I liked. What I didn't like was the lack of help that Kawhi got from the starting lineup outside of Chris Dunn, who's been a lot more aggressive as a scorer. I guess that's one of the things that I liked. 16 from Chris Dunn, but outside of that, only 9 from Derek Jones, 6 from Brook Lopez, was 0 for 4 from 3. So as we know, if Brook Lopez isn't hitting his threes, it's really hard for him to be useful out there. And then Kobe Sanders only chipped in with 8 points. That was a little bit rough, but a win is a win, and we'll take that all day.
One thing I liked about this game, I felt like our bench unit was really getting the job done. I think we won because of them.
Totally.
Like you mentioned earlier, Niederhauser, Miller, Darius Garland, Mathurin all put up double-digit points. And then another thing I liked was Darius Garland making his debut, his Clipper debut. I think he's going to be a big piece for us moving forward. I don't know about this season. Obviously, he's coming back from injury, so he's kind of got to get back in the swing of things. But I think that in the future he will be a big piece for us. If you've ever watched Darius Garland, his highlights, or watched him regularly, he's a very quick, fast twitch type point guard. He can hit threes. He can hit his floaters. And, you know, as long as he's working on his game, I think that he could be someone very exciting in a Clippers jersey. I think we kind of discussed this in the last episode, but him and Mathurin as, you know, the starting starting guards could be a lethal combination. So it's nice to see him out there. And then one thing I didn't like, I mean, I to be honest, I don't really have anything I didn't like about this game.
Love.
Again, like, this is a game we're supposed to win. Steph Curry isn't there. Oh, one thing I didn't like was Pajemski. I think he scored 20 points in the first half. But then
I don't like Pajemski. I don't know why. I just don't like him. He's kind of annoying.
I think it's just the way he looks, bro. You know what I mean?
Maybe it is. I don't know, man. Like,
I feel that.
he's definitely an irritant. Like, he's an irritant for
yeah,
sure.
Yeah. And he probably gets that from Draymond, unfortunately.
Oh yeah.
But he had 20 points in the first half, which I can't even say I dislike, because he had only 2 points in the second half, which that's a great adjustment by the Clippers. They did a great job there, and, you know, I think that's a big reason why we won this game.
Yeah, totally. I mean, that fourth quarter was really great. It was led by Chris Dunn and a bunch of the young guys. Chris Dunn and Jordan Miller kind of sparked a run in the fourth, and the Clippers ended up outscoring the Warriors 37-22 in that fourth to really, like, put the game away. So that was awesome. Jordan Miller with, like, a tomahawk dunk to end the game. It's just, a great fourth quarter specifically from the Clippers, and I don't believe Kawhi Leonard played much in that fourth quarter. It was really just that bench unit and then Chris Dunn, who's, again, been really good on this on the offensive end as of late. So that's been awesome. But the final game, to recap, was a 130-107 win against the Indiana Pacers. Obviously, Indiana's another team that, you know, has been plagued with injuries, namely Tyrese Halliburton, who's been out all season. So you expect to win this game. They're only 15-47. They're the last place team in the East, which doesn't really bode well for the Clippers in terms of that pick conveying, but, you know, anything can happen. Mm-hmm. But the Clippers were able to handle business in this one. Right off the bat, again, you know, it's kind of a theme here, but one of the things that I liked is 29 from Kawhi Leonard. He was awesome in this one, really just, like, took advantage of the game and, you know, put this team away early. The Pacers, I'll get to that in what I disliked. And then another thing that I liked was Benedict Mathurin kind of reining things in. 8 for 11 from the field, so super efficient from him with 23 points. That was great to see after a couple kind of stinkers of, offensive performances from him. So that was something that I liked. What I didn't like was Yanic, who ended up hurting his foot in this one. He looked like he was in a ton of pain, had to be helped to the locker room. He is another player, including John Collins, that is going to be missing the next couple games of the road trip. So I really hope that it's nothing serious with Yanic, because he has had just a great season for, you know, as a rookie and as a center coming off the Clippers bench. You know, we've really had to rely on him at times. Isaiah Jackson was kind of like inserted into that backup position when the injury happened, and he actually did a really good job. I'm a huge fan of Isaiah Jackson, so I'm hoping that we see that kind of like spark plug that we're used to seeing from him, and that we saw in Indiana, you know, in the time that Yanic misses. But that was the thing that I disliked, was just the injury to Yanic, and actually the Pacers started to go on a little bit of a run after that. The team looked a little bit shell-shocked after that injury. So, just best wishes to Yanic, and hopefully he can get back soon, because he's he's an important part of this team, and he's having a great season.
He is. One thing I liked about this game, man, first things first, even though, you know, the Pacers had some guys ball out for them, Siakam had 29 points, Walker had 17, Huff had 18. I don't think that the Pacers are trying to win, especially against the Clippers. They are not trying to win this game.
It's a little bit. Also, shouts out Zoo. Sorry, real quick. The tribute video for Zoo was really cool, and it was cool to see Zoo back in the building. So
Yeah.
shouts out Zoo.
Shout out to Zoo. But like I was saying, I don't think the Pacers are trying to win as an organization. Maybe the players or maybe like singular players are trying to win. But I don't think as an organization, as a team, they are trying to win. But one thing I liked about this game was I felt like these young guys really showed what they could do. When they were on the court, it was very fast paced. It was very. I just enjoyed watching them. I had been talking about this. I feel like it's almost been forever for me, where I've wanted to see like young, fast-paced basketball from the Clippers. Although Niederhauser got injured, over these last couple games, man, I've been seeing like a sort of effort, a sort of passion that like I genuinely haven't seen from like the Clippers in a minute. And like these young guys, just to me, it just feels like they're playing for something, like they want it, which is something I've been really enjoying. I really enjoyed watching this game. Mathurin had 23 points. Darius Garland had 12 points, 8 assists. Isaiah Jackson, like you mentioned, came in and had 10 points. I don't have anything I disliked about this game. It was a blowout, so you can't really complain about anything. Overall, great game.
Yeah, and hopefully the Clippers are able to continue to rely on the young guys that they have, because the last like couple weeks has been kind of like a next man up thing. With the injuries that the Clippers have taken. Guys like Isaiah Jackson have to step up, and
Yeah.
and Jordan Miller and Kobe Sanders and stuff like that. In John Collins' absence. So, just hopefully that fast-paced, energetic brand of basketball that we've seen from the Clippers, particularly the young guys, continues. As the Clippers have a very, very rough March. I think the Clippers and I forget what other team, maybe the Bucks, are tied for the most games in the month of March. So it's going to be a gauntlet in March, and it's not going to be easy. And these injuries make it a lot harder. So I'm really excited to see how the Clippers kind of react to this adversity. So hopefully it's more of the same. But that does it for recaps, guys. Rolla, did you want to hop right into reading off some of the stuff that these fine Clipper fans wanted to say?
Yes, sir. We're gonna get into our Get At Us segment, where we're gonna read off a couple of the DMs that you guys sent to us. Every once in a while, we'll post a story or an Instagram post asking you guys to send us some questions, send us some comments, and first comment I received last night was from my own father, and he said,
"Okay, what's he got to say?"
While watching this Pacers game, watching these young Clippers players, he said, "I love this renewed energy. They are now looking like the Gen Z trend, aka
okay." AKA 6'7" basketball.
Exactly, bro. Once our team gets to the level of them making TikToks at halftime, making TikToks after games.
Yeah, we got a skibbity toilet ass team, dude.
Then that's when I'll finally be happy, because then they'll be as close as it gets to OKC, which I feel like is the blueprint for the future of NBA basketball. Let me read off a question I got from Instagram, and this one is from my friend Chris Ma. He said that actually this wasn't a question. This was more of a statement. He said,
"Yeah,
I need y'all to keep winning so my Warriors can get in the draft lottery." Around here we don't.
But what is the standings? What are the standings here?
Well, I think it's just
okay. So the Clippers are 17 and a half games back, and the Golden State Warriors are 16 games back. So Clippers are actually like kind of on the tail of the Warriors. And so is he suggesting that he wants the Warriors to continue to get pushed down?
Exactly. I think he's suggesting that the Warriors, their season is over, which it is. Sure. And I think he would rather them tank basically, which obviously we're going to
Hey,
discuss
we feel
later.
ya. We feel ya. Yeah.
I kind of don't want the Clippers to tank, but
I don't either, but there was a point in the season where I was like, dude,
yeah, so
we kind
true.
of don't have a choice. We suck.
So true.
But yeah, we will gladly overtake the Warriors for a shot at the play-in,
Yeah.
or a higher seed in the play-in.
All right. So, this question is I want you to answer, Nick.
Okay.
This is a DM from my boy Mike Frank. He asked, "Could we make a little run if everyone stays healthy? Not talking about a chip, but maybe win a first round. We're all of a
Okay.
sudden fun and young."
I agree with all that. Sorry, what was this? What was this gentleman's name?
Mike Frank.
Okay.
Michael.
Thank you so much, Mr. Michael, for sending in this question. I agree that the Clippers can make a run. To what extent, I'm not sure, but you already touched on that. Not necessarily a championship run, but I certainly think that the Clippers, if they get healthy, because you got to consider Clippers are going to be without John, or are currently without John Collins. If the Yanic injury isn't bad and he comes back, if Darius Garland works his way up to being, because I wouldn't necessarily, he's healthy, but I wouldn't really say that he's like fully up to speed, right? So if everybody's healthy and everybody's playing well and everybody's playing at their full potential, I really think this team can make a lot of noise and surprise the league in a first round matchup. Like I said, I have the Clippers matching up with the San Antonio Spurs in the first round of the playoffs. And, granted, they do have a guy that you truly can't game plan for in Victor Wembanyama. That is a matchup that I think if the Clippers are at full strength, they could win that series. And then after that, who knows what could happen. But I think the Clippers really need to handle business this month, which is a little bit tough because we don't know the status of John Collins. We don't know the status of Yanic. But if the Clippers can get through this month of March, on a positive note and win more games than they lose and continue to keep the beat rolling, get past, get up to 500 basketball and continue to build on those winning habits. I really think that this is going to be a fun, surprising team. Obviously, they have a little bit more talent than this team, but I almost look at this team like I looked at the team the year prior to us getting Kawhi. The Lou Williams, Patrick Beverley, Shai Gilgeous, Montrezl Harrell team that took that, crazy Warriors team to 6 games in the playoffs when they had no business doing that. I kind of look at this team like that. And when you have Kawhi Leonard, anything's possible, truly. So, yeah, I love the optimism that's kind of surrounding this team, and I'm going to build on that. And say that we could definitely make a run.
All right, and I have one more question. This is from myself. Assuming Kawhi is no longer on the team next season, who do you think would be pushed up into that starting lineup, and who do you think would be the most valuable piece of the Los Angeles Clippers?
I mean, it really just depends because if Kawhi leaves, then you'd have to assume that if he gets traded, the Clippers will get something in return. If the Clippers don't, if they don't extend that player option, I think because he's got a player option this offseason, then it's a matter of signing somebody to replace him. But I think that would all depend on who steps in, in the offseason, who the Clippers are able to acquire. But as of right now, for players that the Clippers currently have on the team, I think Benedict Mathurin has shown that he can be a guy that can give you score a bunch of points in a multitude of ways, kind of be an engine on offense. If, like I said before, if he can figure out how to rein it in and be a consistent offensive weapon and be that starting shooting guard, I think that he's going to be a huge guy that'll step into that role. Obviously, Darius Garland can score, but he's a little bit more of a table setter. And then as far as like some of the guys that are coming off the bench a bit, I'm not saying that Jordan Miller or Kobe Sanders are going to replace Kawhi Leonard's, output. But I think both of those guys could make a jump, after they were just given a guaranteed contract. Both of those guys can make a jump And then if the Clippers find a way to re-sign John Collins, if he continues to play the way that he's playing, I think that he can be like a number two option to someone like Benedict Mathurin. So to answer your question, I think it'll probably be if that does happen, if Kawhi Leonard isn't with the team anymore, I think it'll have to be kind of like offense by committee.
Right.
But the Clippers really do have a lot of offensive weapons when the team's healthy. So yeah, I think if I was to pick one guy, I would say Benedict Mathurin though.
Dude, I kind of have a hot take right now because I'm just thinking about that question.
Okay, let's hear it.
Say that he is going to obviously replace Kawhi, but I can see, and obviously, I'll just say it. I could see Niederhauser being a massive, massive, massive piece for the Los Angeles Clippers.
Oh, for sure. I don't know about scoring.
No, not scoring, but I think that he can grow to a point where his impact can be on the level of, let's say, like a Rudy Gobert. I
have him as a DPOY next year. That was one of my hot takes. Is if he becomes the starting center for the Clippers next year,
bro,
then he's a DPOY candidate.
Dude,
or no, it wasn't DPOY. It was most improved player. Sorry, I'm mixing things up.
Yeah, he. I think like. I don't know what it is, bro. I feel like watching him, he just has that passion, dude. Like he wants to like get at you.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Well, one of the things that I loved about that Golden State Warrior
that was a callback to the segment.
Oh, what did you say? Sorry.
He wants to get at you.
Oh yeah, there we go. Yeah, perfect. Ronald, you have such a way with words, dude. I'm thoroughly impressed. But what I was gonna say is, one of the things that I liked about that Golden State Warriors game was, it was it was the Warriors game. It seems like every game that we see Yanic play, he has a dunk attempt where he's trying to literally end somebody's life. Yeah. and half the time they don't go in because he's taking off from so far away and he's getting fouled so hard that he's not able to finish through that contact. But you notice it, especially during the home games, where Yanic will go up for a dunk and the whole building kind of like the air is sucked out of the whole building. Yeah. And you're just waiting on showtime, like a showtime play.
Right.
And that to play on your like
identity.
To play on like your it's all good. To play on your like topic about like passion and stuff like that. Like it's that like energy and that like kind of confidence that shows in those plays where it's like, I'm going to try and dunk over the biggest guy on the floor and it might not go in, but I'm going to do what I can to make sure that it, that I get fouled or whatever. So yeah, I've been thoroughly impressed with Yanic. I'm like I'm eating my words from earlier in the season because I was really critical of the pick, not because of him as an individual, but just because who I felt was available before him. But, looking back, I think the Clippers really saw – it was, and it's paying dividends, and that's just another reason why I truly hope Yanic is going to be okay after this foot injury. I mean, he's going to obviously miss a couple games, but hopefully he gets back right and is able to contribute this season.
Yeah, I agree. Well, that does it for our Get At Us segment.
Thank you guys so much for sending all of those in. Obviously, we didn't have a ton of time between episodes, so next time we'll maybe have a little bit more time and get some more stuff in. But thank you all for sending your stuff in, and next time we do this, we'd love to hear more takes and more questions. Yeah. But moving on to the next segment, we're gonna do a segment we haven't done in a minute with what's going on, and we're gonna really focus on a topic that a lot of people in the basketball world have been talking about, and Adam Silver has kind of intervened on, and that is the topic of tanking. So basically Adam Silver made it very public that he's trying to find ways to mitigate tanking.
Sorry, before you discuss Adam Silver, can you kind of give the audience a short rundown on what exactly tanking is?
Okay. Tanking by definition. No. Tanking has become, a whole different animal. And it hasn't just been like the last couple of years. It's been a thing for a while. But because there's so much talent coming into the NBA year after year, and picks are so valuable, and then you saw Oklahoma City build a championship team, a young championship team, through the art, quote unquote, art of tanking, hoarding picks and draft capital and young assets, that you see that the results have yielded you know championships or championship level teams. You look at the San Antonio Spurs. So tanking now, as we see it in the NBA, is really just doing everything you can to lose, and whether that means shutting down a player. And there are situations where a player should not be playing because there's no point if a team is so far down the standings, there's no point to try and win, and you don't want to send your best player out there who might be dealing with some sort of injury and get hurt and be missing the following year. There's obviously situations where it might look like tanking, but it's not. But nowadays, it's so egregious that you have guys being shut down for the season with minor injuries, or opting to go for a procedure when there's still a slight chance that they can at least get a spot in the play-in. And it's been really hard to watch. Teams that have done this for years. The Utah Jazz, the Charlotte Hornets for a while were one of those teams. Detroit Pistons were that for a little while. Obviously, both of those teams are kind of in the process of turning it around, and the Detroit Pistons are fully here and contenders now. But yeah, I mean, there's the Washington Wizards. The Indiana Pacers are a little bit different this year because of the injury to Halliburton, and they're traditionally extremely against tanking. That their organization is very much against tanking, and their fans are some of the most basketball purists in the league. So they roll out a good product every year, but they've obviously been kind of playing on that tanking thing this year. The second half of the season. But bottom line, tanking by definition now is really just losing, throwing any game night in and night out, resting players when they probably shouldn't. And so it's been really, really hard to watch, and it's bad for the sport.
Right. I have another hot take. I think that the seriousness and hyping of tanking goes all the way to, and stay with me on this,
Okay.
Michael Jordan.
Okay, yeah. Okay. Just please elaborate
let me explain
on this one. Okay.
So, during our childhood, during our generation, the biggest argument, the biggest hot topic is the Michael Jordan versus LeBron comparison. And the biggest argument for the side of Michael Jordan as the GOAT compared to LeBron James is the rings that Michael Jordan has. He has 6 rings compared to LeBron's 4. And because of that, it has raised the importance of winning rings to validate your career and your organization. I think the Bulls are a remembered franchise currently because of all those rings that Michael Jordan won for them. So when you see, players like Kevin Durant bandwagoning onto the Warriors to win a ring to validate his career, you've seen after he's left the Warriors, he kind of hasn't done shit. I think that because of that, teams are willing to do anything and everything to win a ring, to validate their franchise, to validate their players' careers. And along with the OKC kind of tanking and building a championship level team, I think all of that mixed in together has created what we see now of the obsession of trying to win a ring at all costs. And the way to do that in today's NBA is to have a young, fast-paced team like OKC that can win you a chip. At the end of the day, it's winning the ring, right? So I think that tanking is a hard problem to solve. But I like, for me, like, tanking is just, it's completely ruining the game. I blame it on our generation for putting so much weight on rings. When people talk about, some of the greatest players ever, they talk about Carmelo Anthony, they talk about Charles Barkley. They don't put them in the same conversation as those who have
Chris
won
Paul.
rings. Chris Paul, they don't put that in the same conversation as those who have run rings because they haven't won a ring. And so I think that today's NBA basketball is basically obsessed with winning rings so they can be remembered. And I think that is the wrong mentality to have. Although Clippers, do what you can to win a ring. I mean, I'm all for it. I'm just saying
by any means possible.
Yeah, I'm just saying as a third party fan, that's not something you want to see. You don't want to see a team, up by 10 going into the fourth quarter and the coach putting in the third string players. Like what's going on here? And when you think about, the fans that come to the games, that pay their hard-earned money to buy tickets, and they come to watch their team win, to see them just like pretty much give up on games, I feel like that's unfair to the fans and to the product. And I think a change has to be made. Whether Adam Silver is doing the right thing or making the right change, I do applaud Adam Silver because he is doing something. I know you have, Nick, you have a different mentality.
I got a whole lot. I'm like trying to make mental notes of everything you're saying right now
Sorry,
because I'm like,
sorry.
no, it's fine.
But
Continue. I'm
this is all I'll say is, I think something does have to be done. I don't know what it is. I don't know what you can do. But this is like, I feel like this, at this point of the NBA season, half the teams just are straight up, not half, I'd say 25-30% of the teams are just straight up not even trying to win. And that's just ruining competition. Sorry, you can go now.
I agree with a good amount of that. Obviously, tanking is awful, and tanking is ruining the game, among a lot of other things, and I'll touch on that in a second. But quickly, just to, your mention of Jordan and like the ring culture and stuff like that. Jordan did, he did kind of lead into that discussion as it exists in the modern era because of LeBron, right? The two are like jockeying for greatest of all time, legacy and stuff like that. And obviously it means a lot to LeBron to do that. And, as it should, LeBron is arguably the greatest player of all time. I think that the ring culture thing existed before that. I think you saw Magic and Larry, going at it to try and, see who get more rings. Both of those franchises, the Lakers and the Celtics, are constantly talking about the amount of rings that they've won. It continues on through the Jordan, era. And, I think that ring culture is tough to tie into tanking because you saw, to me, the immediate response to the modern ring culture was the super team era, where you saw teams trying to stack up on top end talent, whether they were older vets or whatever. And I'm going to go play on this team. You mentioned Kevin Durant. Kevin Durant going to a team that kicked his ass in the finals, knocked him out, and then he goes and jumps ship to that team to try and get a win. Like that tanking. Before there was tanking to try and get wins, there was super teams to try and get wins. So, I think the ring culture is kind of a separate animal. But now, as we see it today, the approach has changed, and I think that a big part, I would probably say that the more responsible, if we're going to blame it on one thing, I think the more responsible entity for tanking has been the way that Sam Presti has run this organization over in Oklahoma City, acquiring draft capital, trading everything away, sucking for 4 years, like really, really sucking for 4 years. But then you see that little by little, he's starting to build a foundation, build the bedrock for a championship team. And again, as I touched on earlier, the talent pool coming into the NBA is so great and you have all these unicorns and all these players that we've never seen before doing all these crazy things, you know, even more incentive to try and get higher draft picks to try and bring these players to your organization, build them young and with a core of other younger guys. I think that's contributed largely to tanking. And then finally to touch on Adam Silver as he fits into the fold, you know, he mentioned that he's really, you know, noticed, as we all have, a serious problem with tanking and teams just completely giving up on the season halfway through the season. I mean, he implemented this play-in tournament to try and mitigate tanking. He kind of adjusted the draft odds and stuff like that. And he said that as a response, he might take away draft picks if he notices that teams are tanking too much, this, and this. But what I heard was that, and you know, take this with a grain of salt. But what I heard was Adam Silver's response to tanking was largely a response to sports betting companies giving, getting in Adam Silver's ear about teams tanking because it directly affects sports betting. And as we know, Adam Silver, is very much in bed with sports betting just based on the way the NBA has gone and all other major American sports leagues as well. But, I think that it seems a little disingenuous that now he's caring about tanking when tanking's been going on for, a decade. Like tanking the way that we know it right now has been going on for a decade. But now, because you have, DraftKings and Prize Picks and Kalshi or whatever, like all these sports betting outlets that are being directly affected. And this is such a revenue, this is all about generating revenue, and they bring in so much money that, Adam Silver's sponsors are getting restless. And that's when he decides to go and talk about tanking. And that's when he wants to put the hammer down. It just seems weird. And there's so many issues in the NBA that need to be addressed. I think the season needs to be shortened. I think that the officiating and the rules need to be more consistent. I think the sports betting thing needs to be, dialed back significantly. There doesn't need to be a sponsor for every, NBA event sponsored by some sort of sports betting outlet. And tanking to me is just like a small percentage of that. It's bad and it sucks. And I do think that there's things that you can do. Flattening the draft odds for any team outside of the play-in tournament would be one thing that you can do. But yeah, I mean, it's just funny that the whole tanking thing has really become a topic of discussion now when, it was literally directly what led to the Oklahoma City winning their championship. So I don't know. I just think it's a little funny that Adam Silver is choosing to take umbrage with this now as opposed to 3 or 4 years ago. So
sorry, I don't know if I'm remembering this incorrectly, but I disagree on your Oklahoma City tanking, I guess, argument.
That they're like the founding fathers of tanking as we know it right now.
Yeah, because I don't think they ever tanked, like legitimately, because they traded away everything. They traded away Paul George for a bunch of young pieces, and they basically
but you look at how bad those teams were for like 3 straight years. Like Shea was able to be the player he is today because he was on a team that
was bad.
Doesn't matter if you lose.
But the thing is, he was playing. Like he is himself today because he was playing. Like they weren't not playing him or playing like their worst team ever. They were playing their best players. They just happened to be terrible. Because they traded away everyone. I mean, I think that, on top of that, once Chris Paul got there, they made the playoffs that year. And that wasn't so I don't think the culture was trying to encourage them to tank. I think they just so happened to be trash with the players that they had. But I think the first team to ever actually lock in on the tanking was the Philadelphia 76ers.
Yeah, the process.
Yes, the process. They drafted Jahlil Okafor, who was a 3rd pick, Ben Simmons, who was a 3rd pick, Embiid was a 3rd pick, or Ben Simmons was a first pick. Embiid
I was
was
gonna
a
say, yeah.
third pick. Markelle Fultz was a first pick. They just didn't hit on pretty much anyone, any of them.
But they were a similar thing to what you're saying about Oklahoma City because yes, they had the process, but then you looked and they were built upon that. They built upon that,
No,
and
no,
then they
no.
had a team.
But their thing was they weren't trading away their best players. Their thing was they were genuinely like losing.
I
Don't they
truly
have
think that team just sucked.
no
Like the early process was just bad. I mean, you had Nerlens
exactly.
Noel, like
But I think that like I mean, for example, like having Embiid, having those many top picks year after year after year, I think that that was their tanking, and then I think the modern day players have taken it to a completely different level. I just read this stat earlier this morning that the bottom 10 NBA teams are on a collective 40-game losing streak. Like, that's insane, dude.
the bottom what 10?
The bottom 10 NBA teams are on a 40-game losing streak. That means everyone is just losing. It's just like either okay, let's just
That's
say
not that egregious because like 10 teams.
let's say
That's a lot.
10 teams are all on a 4-game losing streak. That's nuts.
That's not that bad.
That is bad, dude. 10 teams can't win one game. Like that's
Well,
nuts,
it could be.
dude.
I mean, I guarantee teams like the Wizards and the Pacers and the Pelicans are putting those statistics on their back right now. I don't know
Yeah,
if
but
it's
they're
like
not each
every
playing
team is.
6-7 games, bro. I
Yeah.
just think that like oh, I guess they could be. I just think that like this tanking era is there's just the mindset of those at the top that are making these decisions, Adam Silver included, the owners, they don't have like the money is the bottom line. It's always going to be the bottom line for these guys. I know you've mentioned it a bunch of times, which is why you feel like Adam Silver is doing a poor job as commissioner, because he has
Awful.
the money on the top of his mind. I think that it is what it is with that type of stuff. I mean, when you think about it, to the players, the money's the bottom line too. If you ask any of those players, would you rather win a ring or have a generational or sign a generational contract? They're all going to choose the contract. So, I mean, I think that the play, as long as the like NBA is making money, the players are making money, and that's all they care about at the end of the day is taking care of their family, taking care of like their lifestyle. But like, I think that if Adam Silver is making these moves now because it's affecting the money, I don't think that's a bad thing. I think that this tanking has gotten to a point where it's unbearable. I think when it's one, two, a couple of the worst teams in the league just tanking, I don't really care. But when it's like almost half the league is like straight up battling to get a pick that might yet like we've seen like the last couple of years the like randomization of the picks, like the worst team isn't guaranteed the best pick. Like they might get the 5th pick. You know what I mean? So
Yeah, I mean the Mavs one was part of the coup, dude. Part of the
yeah,
Luka
well,
coup. So that one
yeah,
will.
that's another one.
I'm
for,
standing
that's-
on business there.
No, yeah, that's a different story for another day. But I don't know. It's just like I think that something serious has to happen, or Adam Silver has to do something very serious to these teams to stop them from tanking. Like straight up. I'm sorry, you can't be pulling your best players. You can't be just saying that your best players are injured because like you just want to lose the game. Like if they're actually injured, okay, fine. But if they're injured and they can still play, they need to be playing. I would say like half the NBA gets like surgery during the offseason anyways. So half the NBA is injured, quote unquote injured. So I just don't really understand why all of a sudden we're getting like season-ending surgery needs to be had. Season-ending surgery needs to be had for all these like all the worst teams, and then like they're just losing the rest of their season to try to get to gamble on getting a high pick. And I just don't think that that's the way the NBA needs to be moving forward. I think Adam Silver needs to, we've been seeing like him kind of punish these teams, fine these teams. I think that there needs to be some like aggressive fines or picks being pulled or something going on, because what I've been seeing is completely unacceptable. I don't know. Do you have anything else?
No, I agree with all that for sure. Closing statement is, I think that it's hard to not be a little bit jaded because like I mentioned, I find it a little bit disingenuous that Adam Silver is choosing to focus on this now. I think that he's got his priorities all messed up. He wants to expand the NBA into Europe. He wants to do all this stuff when all of the problems like that are happening in the NBA are very much domestic and very much like in the heart of this league. Like there's simple fixes and stuff like that. And he needs to address the problems that are the most glaring issues. Like I said, consistency with officiating, tanking, not being so in bed with sports betting companies, improving the All-Star game in a way that's, beneficial for true fans. He wants to pander to new fans and casual fans, but what about the fans that have been watching for the last 20 years and stuff like that? So it's a little bit disingenuous to me, but I do agree that something needs to be done about this tanking. What that takes the shape of, who knows? Like I said, I think flattening the draft odds for all teams outside of the draft, outside of the play-in game would be one way to do it. But I don't get paid to come up with these ideas, so I hope that Adam Silver can find a way to make things right in this league. I obviously love the NBA. I'm a huge NBA fan, but I think that the product is suffering a little bit, and it's suffering in the ways that aren't being talked about enough. So, guys, obviously a very big point of contention, not just for Rolla and I, but for NBA fans all over. So let us know what you guys think. Maybe send us a DM, or I'm sure we'll have a post on it, at some point between now and the next episode. So if that is the case, let us know what you think about tanking. We'd love to hear what you got to say, because there are a variety of different ways that this can be solved. But at the end of the day, it's up to the commissioner and up to the league office to be able to solve those and actually make the results come to light. So, we'd love to know what you got to say. Outside of that, the Clippers have a couple games coming up. The next game that we have is tomorrow against the San Antonio Spurs. Might be a playoff preview. Who knows? I'm still sticking with that hot take. But that's going to be a tough game, especially without John Collins and without Yanic. So I really hope that Kawhi Leonard, who is, as far as I know, available for this one. And it is the first night of a back-to-back, so I'm really hoping Kawhi Leonard is able to step up to the plate in this one against his former team. Following game is against the Memphis Grizzlies. Winnable game for sure. The Grizzlies have been struggling this year. They've been kind of a mess, in the wake of the Ja Morant roller coaster. They don't have Jaren Jackson anymore, so I expect the Clippers to win that one. But I'm really, really looking at this game tomorrow against San Antonio for the Clippers to really kind of show their teeth and show that they can compete, even being down some really, really key players. But Rolla, did you have anything you wanted to touch on before we get on out of here?
No, that's it for me.
All right, guys. Well, thank you so much for tuning in to episode 76 of the Clip Service Podcast. As Rolla said up top, you can watch us on YouTube, listen to us on Spotify, Amazon Music, Apple Podcasts, and Deezer. Get at us with all of your questions, comments, and concerns at Clip Service Pod on both Twitter and on Instagram. It ain't no lip service. This has been Clip Service. Rolla, let the people know what let the people know what they want to hear.
Let's go Clips.
Let's go Clips.